Hi, my name is Shari Doherty, and I'm a lady in red, in Act 2 of my career and living my best life. My perspective on life and behaviors have been governed by who I was as a child, who I became, and who I am still striving to be. People my age are beautiful, bold, confident, and full of wisdom, and truly, the encore of the story of your life is still when the best songs are yet to be sung. My mission in this podcast is to shine the spotlight on people like me, have real conversations about reinvention stories, and inspire you to continue to follow your dreams regardless of your age. I'm doing it for Daisy. Who are you doing it for? Welcome to today's episode of the Encore Podcast. Today I am on my own and I'm going to be sharing some updates with you all because we have some new adventures and exciting chapters we're about to embark on within our lives and within our families. So I will leave the best one to last, of course. It is the most exciting and the one we all dream of. However, there are a couple of new chapters that are starting in our life, and that is what has been taking up a lot of our time right now, which is also why you probably haven't heard from me in a while. A big one for those of us who are our age. So I am 55, as I have shared. I am blessed to still have an 86-year-old mother. So I lost my father 10 years ago, which is unfortunate. May he rest in peace. And my mother is still alive, and my mother is still very vibrant, very physically healthy, and very active. She is actually one of the strongest people that I know. And I say that in a really reflective way. All that to skip ahead to share with you all that she has currently moved in with our family, and this is now her permanent home. So, when I talk about living in a multi generational family, I am absolutely living in a multi generational family. Right now in our home, I have my husband Terry and I, my 25-year-old son, and my 86-year-old mother, and a black lab named Piper. It's a very full house, and there are all the generations in the house that comes with all sorts of nuances. My mother lived in Toronto for 86 years. That's her entire life. She never left Toronto, and she did sell our childhood home a few years ago, actually before my father passed away, and was living in a condominium in Toronto that she was renting. We forewarned her that when she was renting, one day may come when the owner of the condominium may want to sell, and she would have to decide what that meant to her. And that day came last year where she had to reevaluate. Essentially, if you think about being a senior and being alone basically for 2 years in a condominium in Toronto during the pandemic, you can imagine that that was a very difficult time and a very lonely time for that population. And my mom likes to talk about, and no one was really talking about it, but they were kind of a forgotten population. And everyone was very concerned about the seniors in care facilities and retirement homes, as they should have been. And everyone was very concerned about getting children back to school, but nobody was really thinking about the seniors who lived alone. And social isolation can be one of the greatest contributors to things like Alzheimer's, and they need social stimulation to keep themselves thinking and active and vibrant. And my mom had a great population of friends that she spent time with. She lived in the same condominium building as her best friend. So her best friend lived in the penthouse above her, and my mom lived on the fifth floor. But that was great for them because they could get together and play cards or share lunch or watch TV together, but then go back to their respective apartments. So they had a great arrangement. They also were very well connected through the senior groups in Toronto and very active in their churches and just had a really good community. And all of that got pulled away from them during the pandemic to the point where my mom didn't even want to go upstairs to see her best friend. Although I kept telling her, neither one of you have seen anyone in 3 months. You're probably okay to visit each other. They were very cautious because, of course, seniors were dying at a rapid rate at that time. So it was very frightening. Back to where we are now, though, her landlord decided to sell the condominium and we needed to evaluate. And she literally said, I think I'm ready to come. We had long said to her when the time comes, she would always be welcome to come and live with us. We have a large home and we have extra rooms and we are family and we will always do what we have to support family. And so we had told her when she felt she was ready to not live on her own anymore, she would always be welcome in our household. And so she made the decision last August that it was time. As I said, she's 86. She's physically healthy. She is very sharp minded. She still watches Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and she still does puzzles. And she has actually immersed herself in this community. So, all by herself, she has joined the senior center and she's found her own church. And she's starting to slowly make her way around getting comfortable in Kingston, even driving still. And this woman has stamina and perseverance, and she is a survivor. Like I have shared with you in prior episodes about my childhood, she didn't have an easy husband. She didn't have an easy life, but she's still standing and she's still very smart and she's got all of her thoughts and her faculties amongst her. And she's living with us now. But it's been an interesting transition purely from the point that we all vibrate at different frequencies in terms of energy. And my family, Terry and I, and my kids, we vibrate at a crazy high energy level all the time, all the things. Always people are coming and going and running around, and there's always something nutty happening. And my mom obviously vibrates at 86-year-old energy, which is very different energy. And she's wonderful. She just moves a whole lot slower than we do. And so we have to kind of balance it a little bit and sometimes slow ourselves down, but it's also very good for her to get the opportunity to see people in the thick of their lives running around and catch some of our energy. So I think we're both adding value to the equation for everyone. She loves that she has this opportunity to get to know her grandchildren better. So previously, we probably saw her a couple of times a year because we all have very busy lives, as well as we only saw her 3 or 4 times a year when she was living in Toronto. And now some days, honestly, as sad as this sounds, I only see her for a half an hour at the end of the day because I'm still running around doing my life, but it's a half an hour more than I would have seen her. And she has the opportunity to know her grandson who lives with us and her granddaughter, who, again, I'm going to foreshadow to her amazing announcement, but she's going to be part of a special time in my daughter's life. So we're all very excited about that. But it definitely is an adjustment, just adding another person into your family and someone that is of a completely different mindset and a completely different generation. It's been interesting. We're now, I want to say, about 8 months in. And unfortunately, she was pretty sick over Christmas. So that was a bit of a tough time because you always wonder with someone of that age. But she rebounded as she does, and she's still going. So stay tuned for more. But that is a new chapter in the lives of the Dohertys. The second thing that's been happening is Terry and I are always doing something crazy. And we were reflecting last night on all the things that we've been doing in our life that we never, ever expected. We have done amazing things we never thought we would have done. So we used to own a cheerleading company. And who knew that when we met and we were 25, that one day we'd own a cheerleading company? If you had told us, we would have said, "What? Are you crazy? That sounds ridiculous." We also owned a race team, which also would sounded ridiculous to our younger selves. We've been on crazy vacations to crazy locations. We've lived in multiple locations. I know that when you told little Terrence Doherty from Ireland or little Shari Doherty from Toronto that one day they would live in Kingston, Ontario, they probably both would have looked at you and said, "I have no idea where Kingston, Ontario is. So how is life and our paths going to take us there?" Our journey has taken us to the White House. We saw Old Faithful. We have been to many continents and had amazing, crazy stories. Terry's been a DJ, and he is now famous in our local community for running a Friday night trivia show and has a huge following of loyal supporters and fans. So everyone is a fan of the Big Terry Doherty Show, which is awesome. And that has taken us on another funny twist of fate. But apparently now we're going to be radio co-hosts, which is so funny. And again, we laugh at the crazy twists and turns our life has taken us on. However, someone identified that Terry has a great personality, and he was a radio DJ host in the 80s and 90s. And so he's got some great talent, and he is a DJ. And he also has a whole full-time career for an insurance company as well. But that's always been his passion and his outlet from a creative standpoint. And so someone approached him and asked him if he would be interested in hosting a radio show. And of course, because I'm his trusty sidekick and his administrator, I was the one who picked up on the email when it came in and responded. And I guess she looked a little bit into me and realized who I am and what I do, and that I speak relatively well as well. And so she invited us last night to be on her show. And we were on a local radio station that is broadcast from Queen's University here in Kingston, Ontario, to the point that they've now asked us to create our own show. So Terry and I were laughing at ourselves last night because it's just such a funny twist of fate for us, but we think we're going to be great at it. We think we're funny and we make ourselves laugh, and I guess that's all that really matters. But it's going to be another chapter in the Shari and Terry story, so I'm very excited to see where that goes. And then our big and of course our very best news that I have to share with everyone is that our daughter got engaged just before Christmas, and I am about to be a mother-in-law. So I wonder what a mother-in-law Shari looks like. I hope that our future son-in-law adores us as much as we adore him. I have a future episode coming up where I'm going to let Smad share her entire love story and her story about how they got engaged. But it's really fun and really interesting to realize that I'm going to be the mother of the bride. It is definitely a driving force for me right now, and I'm going to go a little bit serious right now. However, as you all know, I'm a local real estate agent. I have a business coach, and I have a business coach because I didn't get into the industry at 25. I didn't enter the industry until 50. So my runway is shorter than other people's to find success and really thrive in this career. And in order to accelerate that, I hired a business coach. And I was reflecting with my business coach recently about my why. And when I was telling her, well, I want to make a certain amount of money and I want to hit a certain award level within my brokerage, she said, stop it, Shari. Your whys aren't serious enough. You need to think about your why. What is your why? And your why needs to make you cry. And so what I thought about in the entire hub of my life is my why for at least the next 2 years is to make sure that I give my daughter the wedding of her dreams. Sorry, I'm going to cry for a second. This always makes me cry, which is good because it means it is the real why. But it also drives so many other things for me, not only just the financial aspect of it, but it is also my why from a health perspective, because there is no way that I am not going to be at that wedding. The wedding is now set for December 31st, 2025. So when I don't feel like going to the gym or when I decide that I want to eat McDonald's, I'm really now thinking, is this really going to make absolute certain that you are going to be at that wedding? What if something happened to me physically? The other vanity side of that is I have a picture in my mind of what I want to look like at that wedding. And I want to have Michelle Obama arms, and I want to wear sleeveless, and I want to very proudly show them off. So I have to start working on that now because I do not have Michelle Obama arms, but I have 2 years to work on them. And that also feeds into the other piece of myself that's important, which is my faith and my spirituality. It is very important to me that I pray beauty and long love into this marriage and that I am fully and recommitted to our faith as a family. She will be having a Catholic wedding that is important to our family. And all of those things really kind of put that at the bullseye of being my why. And I joke with people now, and it's serious. Not joking is, I have to work my butt off because we want to give this girl the wedding of her dreams, and we're paying for it. So I got to sell some houses if you know anybody. Had to pull that out of too serious of a place. I also think about who I want to be for my future son-in-law, and I don't want to be that mother-in-law. And I know that we're all going to make mistakes, and I know we're going to misspeak, and it's going to be life, and we're family, and we're going to be family. We're going to forgive, and we're going to do things. But I want to love on him, and I want to give him every ounce of confidence that he's going to be an amazing husband to my daughter. Sorry. And he's going to be an amazing father to my future grandchildren. And that I am going to be there cheering this beautiful couple on through their entire life for as long as I physically possibly can be. My goal is to know my grandchildren until they're 30, which means I'm going to have to live to something like 86 or 90 like my mom has. And that actually all comes beautifully full circle right back to me trying to be Daisy. So the original Daisy, if you go back to the original episodes, lived well into her 90s. She had grandchildren she knew well into their adult years. And that is exactly who I want to be and who I want to show up for my family in these new chapters. I need to be that beautiful, strong, nourishing, flourishing person for my family. And that includes all aspects of us. So I'm going to sign off now because I need to go wipe my face. I didn't know this was going to be so emotional, but that is my truth. And those are my new chapters. And I hope you all are well. And thank you so much for listening along. Stay tuned for an upcoming episode where my daughter actually shares her love story. And everyone have a great day.